everyone, welcome into the Flippin Hippos YouTube channel. I'm Star, and today we're going to be doing one of my favorite videos that I do every single month. I'm a little late this month, but that's okay. We're going to be looking at plush that's sold on eBay for the month of July. I like to go back at the end of each month and take a look at all of the plush, just the plush that's sold on eBay, and kind of talk about the brands and the characters and just why they are or are not good things to keep your eyes out for when you're outsourcing. A lot of the plush that we sell is bread and butter. Most of the plush that we get range from 25 cents to maybe $2 a piece, depending where we're sourcing from, if they're coming in wholesale lots. And depending on if you get them at a thrift store, the cost of goods can vary. Used to get them for 25 cents to 50 cents more often than I do here in Florida. They're also harder to come by here. I don't see them in as many thrift stores in abundance. I don't know if that's a Florida thing or a post-COVID thing. I know that post-COVID and the shutdown, a lot of thrifts were doing away with plush, from what I hear, due to germs and the virus and all of that. So it could be they're just less abundant here. It could be it's post-COVID. It could be a combination of the two. They're just not as easy to find here. So I'm having to go out, think outside of the box and go buy them in wholesale lots and find other vendors and sources and folks to buy them from, which is what you have to do in this business. You have to be flexible. So I'm not listing as many plush as I used to. Please don't take my plushie queen crown because what I'm finding here are really great brands in men's shirts and jeans, and you gotta get what you can get for the great cost of goods. But I did purchase two huge like Gaylord thingies of mystery plush. I will be opening them live Thursday, which is August 18th at 5 p.m. live on this channel with special guest Robert, the other plush expert, and he's got his own boxes, so we're going to open them together. Very excited to have this much plush to start listing again. But I digress. I meant to just say a lot of our plushies are bread and butter, and that's our business model. It's Robert's as well. When you can find them for 25 cents and they're very light to ship, the $12 to $18 plush are fine. If you have the room for them, I will tell you they do take up a lot of room. You got to have a good storage system for them. And you also have to keep in mind that they are very, very, very long tail. Plush is its own world. A plush that takes a year to sell is probably the same as a pair of jeans that takes 6 months or 3 months. Plush is just very long tail. In case you want to know, because I know you're going to ask, our system is this. So the plush that are like small, like 12 inches and smaller, we put in bins the same as we do our clothes. So just the normal Rubbermaid totes that you see all the resellers using. We use those, and they're labeled 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. And they're labeled with just numbers. Our clothing is in bins A1, A2, and then B, C, D. So the only bins I have with just numbers on them are plush, and then the alphanumeric ones are clothing. So that's how we tell them apart. And then in the SKU line, I will put where that plush is located, which bin. And those totes can hold a ton of bunch if they're these little ones. And then the medium-sized ones that aren't like oversized, we have the very large Ikea zip-around tote bags, not the normal ones you see people taking their shipping in. They're long, like duffel bags, and they're very large. You can get quite a few of the medium-sized plush. And medium is anything over I'd say over 12 inches. That isn't oversized. You're going to take up half the bag by itself. And then we labeled those 1, 2, 3. So in our SKU line, we have to put bin 1 or bag 1. But then we know it's either in an Ikea bag or a bin based on its size. And then the oversized ones, We actually just have a big shelf in our garage, and they're just sitting on there. They're all little friends. Some are sitting in each other's laps. Some are squished in together. Some are laying next to each other. They're very cozy on that shelf. And then I do have a couple of bins where I've managed to cram in some of the bigger ones together. And I just put like a piece of tape on there and wrote who's in there. SpongeBob, Blue, Baby Yoda, because I know those are my big ones. If you want any more information or more visuals of what I've just explained, let me know. I'll be more than happy to do a video of like our garage, I guess. Maybe it's really hot. I don't like leaving the house. It's so hot. Just to go to the garage, it's horrible. No, but I can do that. And I'm gonna put an affiliate link for the IKEA bags in the group tomorrow morning. Oh, and by the group, it's called Flippin Hippos Reseller Pod. That is our Facebook group. You should be in it if you're not. It's a really great group for learning plush, but not only for learning plush, for learning anything about reselling, any type of niche, any type of platform. There's just all kinds of expertise in there, resellers from all over, and everybody is so nice and so supportive. All right, so I really wanted to focus on why we buy the plush that we buy in this video. I go into the cost of each item and how they ship and all of that in my weekly what sold on eBay videos I put out every Monday. They want to do these plush centric videos once a month. I like to talk more about talk about plush, explaining to you why we like bread and butters, explaining to you our storage system, just anything that's really plush centric. And I like to talk more in depth about these brands and these guys. These are my friends. So all the plushies are my friends, and I find them new forever homes. And yes, I have gone crazy from working from home for so long. So let's start with this Gans Webkinz. Y'all that have been on this channel watching me for any length of time have heard me talk forever on high about Gans Webkinz. I love them. Not many of them are going to be poop. Most are going to be bread and butter, and some are going to be surprising when you comp them. Most of the times you can find these for a quarter, 50 cents, or $1 at thrifts, church sales, rummage sales, all those kinds of places. You can even get them in boxes that you buy from these places that do mystery lots. I never pass up on a Gans Webkinz ever. I mean, unless it's like $10. No. If the cost of goods is correct, like $1 or less, I will buy all the Webkinz all the time. I don't comp them. I just bring them home and comp them as I'm listing them. And again, there's very few rare ones that are kind of poop, and you can learn those over time as you go. Feel free to stalk my store. You can stalk Robert's store. His store is public. Ask in the group. But for the most part, they're going to be bread and butter. And then there's some that will surprise you. Gans Webkinz have codes. He doesn't have one to show you. I do have a video I did specific on Gans, like the top 10 highest selling ones to look for to sell. So I'll have that video pop up at the end for you. You can watch that if you want to learn a little bit more about Gans. But they have these codes that they come with that correspond to something people can do online. And this one doesn't have his code. If the code's opened, you have to say no code or used code. But I have noticed that their worth or their value isn't always dependent on whether or not they have a code. I've had some with no codes comp at $30, $40. I've had some with codes comp for $10. I think it really depends on the saturation, how rare the animal is, how sought after, how popular it was. It's up to the collectors, I guess, that are looking for these. Some people probably buy these not knowing, what the collectors know. Maybe somebody's kid likes penguins. But for the most part, Webkinz collectors are looking for these. So there's some things you should always include in your title for keywords. They have a signature line, which is what this guy is. And you can put that because collectors will look for that. However, if you run out of room and you don't have room to put signature, but you have other important keywords, I've always said to leave signature off. There's some people that say, oh no, that's super important. It's up to you. But I feel like if it fits, it fits. But if you can't fit the other important keywords that you're going to need to describe the animal, and then these two things, which are super important, you could put Gans, Webkinz, Penguin, or just Webkinz signature, like however you can fit it in there. This is super important. These numbers here are on their tags. So this is a Webkinz signature penguin. So because it's actually on his tush tag, it probably is super important that you have Web signature penguin in the title. And then the WKS 1010, you want to put that in there. So they're all going to have a tag that has this number and then what they are. Some are so simple, it'll say green frog, brown bear, black bear, and some are very specific, like pink spotted fancy glittered unicorn. So whatever the tag says, that's what you want to put in the title, and then you want to include the number here because that's what a collector is looking for. And then you always want to say whether or not it has the code. All caps is not great for your titles. That's been talked about in the group this week as well. Something with the algorithm doesn't like all caps. It's okay for things like Ann Taylor Loft because the Loft is capitalized in the actual brand name. And so the algorithm recognizes stuff like that. But capitalizing words in your title is not good for the algorithm. So this is a case of please do as I say and not as I do. You could just put no code like normal typing. I put it in all caps because I think buyers don't read. I don't think they bother to look at half the listing half the time. And so I put no code in the title, all caps. Hey, look at me. I don't have a code. I put it in the condition, again, all caps. I put it in the item specifics because when you choose that this is a Gans Webkinz for your category on eBay, it does know what you're talking about and you get a code status in your item specifics. And then I put it again down here. You can just type it out normal, but I would recommend putting it in the title and all of those places because you know what? People don't read. They don't. I have a million instances and examples to tell you if you don't believe me. So, but super important is this code. This number code comes right off their tag. What they're called, even if it's just Webkinz brown bear, you want to put brown bear because people look for that. And then you want to fill it in with other specifics. I always recommend putting the size in the title of the animal. Always include a picture of it too. 10 inches. Or sorry, 11 inches. Apparently I can't see either. And then I just cram in keywords about the animal. So this guy sold for $13.99. He has a signature. I would have thought maybe a little bit more. He went for 30% off though. So he went on sale, and I'm fine with that because, you know, again, we don't pay very much for these. He's cute. All right, our next friend we're going to look at is a Dandy Pink Teddy Bear. Dandy is another one of those brands that I put on par with Gans. It can surprise you. Some of the Dandy can be worth a lot of money, and some of it's just bread and butter. It's one of those brands that I will always pick up. But we are fine with being a volume-based business. We are fine with bread and butter. Bread and butter is important. So this guy sold for $13.99, which is good. Solid bread and butter. He 10-inch pink bear. So he's not specifically for Valentine's Day. He's not like holding a heart or anything. But because he was pink, I chose to put Valentine's Day just because he's a pink bear and those can be common on Valentine's Day. Sometimes when you're coming up with keywords, it is absolutely okay to be a little creative. He's really cute. Look at his little face. All right, so we have a generic here. Now, this guy has no brand, and you can absolutely sell plush with no brand all day long. You just got to be creative and really great at flushing out your title with optimized keywords and be very descriptive. As far as comping, that can be a little more iffy. You kind of have to look at similar stuff and kind of guess your price. He's only 7 inches, so I put him up for $12, $11.99, because he is only 12 inches. He's kind of small. If he had been bigger, I might have tried to, get a little bit more for him. So this is what I chose to put as the title, because he's generic. I was just trying to get as many good keywords in there to show up in searches and to impress upon the buyer that he is special. So he's an Easter chick, a 7-inch plush, spring, stuffed animal, and then I just kind of started to describe him, beak, duck, and all of that. So you can sell generic plush. I do it all the time. I don't go below $12. That's my lowest price point for plush. And so because he was small, that's what I did. This is an Alpha Beans plush. Now these are a vintage, and I got a ton of these in a grab bag at a thrift store. They had a whole bunch of plush in this grab bag, and there were several Alpha Beans. They didn't have, the whole alphabet, but there was a handful of Alpha Beans thrown in there, and some of them comped higher than others. So you always want to look at everything. So if you get a bag like that and you have 5 different Alpha Beans, and the first one that you comp is the lobster, you want to comp each other one too. Just because the lobster can sell for like $21.87 doesn't mean that the B, and it really was a B, the letter B was a B-E-E, a B, isn't going to comp lower or higher. So you always want to check all the different animals in the same brand or in the same line. Some of the Alpha Beans comped really high, and some were just mediocre bread and butter, and some were like, I guess, lower. But I wouldn't even say mediocre. Like most of them comped at 20 and above. These were a good find. Absolutely a good find. I was excited to find them in that bag. But this is the lobster guy. So he found his new forever home this month. Or last month, I should say, in January. Last month was January. Did y'all know? All right, Thai Attic Treasures. So Thai Beanie Babies, I think, are garbage. In fact, I have a video about them as well. So I'm going to have that pop up at the end. You'll get the Gans video and the Beanie Babies videos popping up for you. If you haven't seen one of them, I recommend watching them. But anyway, some of the Thai Attic Treasures and Beanie Boos and Signature Collection and some of the other lines from Thai can be worth money. Most are going to be bread and butter. This one is Aurora teddy bear. He's got a swimsuit. He's super cute. Got his little ring. And he sold for $11.99. Or she, I guess. It looks like a full suit bodysuit. Next up, we have Wild Republic. Wild Republic is typically a good brand. The reason this one went for so low is because he had lost his ability to record. So when this is in excellent condition, he talks. Wild Republic is also K&M International. They are typically, Wild Republic makes a lot of realistic animals and zoo animals and things like that, and they can sell for a good bit. This guy didn't comp as high as I hoped he would to start with, and he didn't work anymore, which I disclosed. Does not. Tested and does not work. But he's still a cute little bear. So he sold for $9.99. Of course, that goes below I said I never start plush below $12, but there's always exceptions to every rule. Since he didn't work anymore, he did get listed that low. Speaking of Wild Republic, we have a polar bear here. I did say when this guy showed up in my Monday What Sold video last month that I wasn't even sure he was a polar bear. He looks kind of like a monkey. I mean, this side. I really wasn't sure what he was, but I was able to Google into him and look him up, and I found a lot of other people referring to him as a polar bear and calling him that. So he is a polar bear. Wild Republic, again, is also K&M International. They do a lot of zoo lines, too. Like when we used to live in Pennsylvania at the thrifts, I would always find plush from the Pittsburgh Aquarium or the Pittsburgh Zoo, and they were all made by Wild Republic. Sesame Street, it's kind of like Disney. Some of these characters are just so oversaturated. And this is just one of those characters. Elmo is a dime a dozen. He's a penny a dozen nowadays. But I'll still grab him if he's 50 cents or whatever. This is an official Sesame Workshop, newer one from 2017. He sold for $11.99. With Sesame Street, I do try to find the official Sesame Streets like this instead of like the Mattel or Hasbro ones, because those ones are even more oversaturated and comp even lower. Here we have a ham. He was my ham. This was my Hammy. I love hamsters. If you're new to the channel and you aren't aware, I'm weird. I love rodents. All rodents. They're my favorite. I do love hippos. I love hippos. Of course, we're the Flippin Hippos. But as far as my personal favorites, it's hams. I have a pet ham. Her name is Ahsoka. But yeah, I love hamsters, and I got this guy, and I kept him for myself. And in fact, I sourced him for myself. Let's be honest. He hung out on my desk back in Pittsburgh with me for about a year. He moved to Florida with me and hung out with me for a while. But then, I'm kind of downsizing and making room for more stuff. So it was time for him to go. A lot of the animals that I keep for myself, the plushies, I actually do just kind of keep long enough until I've enjoyed them, and then I pass them along to someone else. So Dave & Buster's animals, as you can see, aren't really, nothing to write home about. They don't go for that much money, but I enjoyed him for the year that he was my buddy, and then he went and found a new home. Here's another version of, or another line from Ty. These are their Pillow Pals. Pillow Pals. Pillow Pals. I can say Pillow Pals. Pillow Pals. So this is from 1996. He's vintage. Unfortunately, he didn't comp as high as you'd think vintage would. He's 13 inches. So he was pretty large, but he did not weigh that much. Just another line from Ty that can be, good bread and butter. Some of the animals can go for a lot, so make sure you're comping them when you find them. This was new to me. I'd never heard of the Krisha Playful Plush, but from now on, you better believe if I see a Krisha Playful Plush, it's coming home with me. This is so cute, and it went for $29.99, and it wasn't heavy. It shipped first class. It's a realistic, like, rabbit for Easter or spring, which you can see all the keywords I used up there. But yeah, Krisha Playful Plush is something I will absolutely be looking for. And that's the tag. Hard Rock Cafe, Philadelphia. Poop. Okay, he's only here to show you what you should never, ever source. The only reason I ever had Hard Rock Cafe bears is because I bought out an entire yard sale of plush years ago, and I bought everything the guy had out. And there were Disney Store plush, and there were the Boyd's Bears, and there were all these plush that were worth so much money. And the Hard Rock Cafe Bears came along too, and I made them like an overall, I'll give you this much for everything deal. I don't want these if I'm sourcing one by one. I pass them up. I really don't want these ever. Some of them, maybe, but see, then I think they're poop. I took a best offer on this guy of like $9, right? So, goodbye. No Hard Rock Cafe Bears. This is a Gotham Monkey. So there's some Gotha that's worth a lot of money. Let me show you their tags. There we go. It's just Gotha International. I had some snakes back when I was first starting to resell and learning about plush. I had some Gotha snakes, and they were really big, like 2-3 feet when you unfolded them, but they rolled up in a coil, and they were colorful, and they sold for like $20 or $30. I've had various other Gothas that have sold anywhere from $12 to $20 or $30. So they're a lot like the Gans and the Dandies. It's just hit or miss. But I mean, this monkey, I took a best offer of 10 on. He's only 7 inches. and he came in a freebie lot. Someone threw in with some clothing we bought. All right, this is Fred Rogers' Katarina Kitty. She sings from Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. See, it says the Fred Rogers Company on her tag. So she sings, and I always put tested and works. I always test all of our electronic plush, always. And then I will still sell most of the ones that don't work. You'd be surprised. There's still some, like even that little bear I showed you earlier. I've had some, that keeps popping up, I'm sorry. I've had some, like Paw Patrol, just really, they would have been worth a lot of money had they worked, and then I just sell them like $10, $12 plus shipping if they're heavy. People will still buy them. I think some people fix them. Some people don't care. They just collect the plushies. So yeah, a lot of the times I will sell them even if they don't work. You just want to make sure that you disclose that this one did work. And I make sure I take all the batteries out. There's no corrosion, and I clean everything. Per USPS, you can ship batteries domestically in the United States, but they're supposed to be out of the plush and in a separate container. You can even just throw them in a Ziploc baggie in there with them if you want to send the batteries to the buyer. You're not supposed to have any batteries in when you ship internationally. And when we have batteries that we're going to send in a bag, I don't mention them. I just kind of toss them in there. With the plush, but if I know I'm specifically not going to send batteries, I will say batteries not included. All right. Keel Toys, London Police teddy bear. So I like Keel Toys. I've had like the Queen's Guard before, and this guy who's like their emergency response. They're like their policemen, and they usually do pretty good. They have a really slow sell-through rate though. But this one sold for $16, and you're paying 50 cents. All plush have a slow sell-through rate, Star. All right, next up, we have 2 Minions. Why am I showing you 2 Minions? 2 reasons. The first is, y'all know Minions movie came out within the last month. When new movies come out full of popular kids characters, you're going to see an increase in the popularity of the plush as well. So you want to keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on. You want to make sure that you're paying attention to movies, TV shows, books, all those things, anniversaries. Harry Potter had an anniversary last year, and Harry Potter stuff was flying off of our shelves. We raised our prices because everybody was going Harry Potter wild. They had the whole special, the reunion. They had the game show and all of that on HBO. Yes, we watched it. We're Potterheads. But you always want to be aware because they're going to sell. You can raise the prices when things are going to get popular. My 2 Minions, I should have raised the prices on them. I did not. But they did sell together for $19 for both. So they did get a new home. Should have raised the prices. So again, that's where you can learn from my mistakes. Yeah, I realized there was a Minion movie, and I thought, I don't even have any more Minions in the store, and I didn't think to check. And a weekend went by, and then they sold, and I'm like, man, well, you win some, you lose some. And they both still sold for $19 for both. They shipped in one poly bag, cheap to ship, and I think I paid $1 for both. So still winning. Clifford the Big Red Dog is still popular, believe it or not. There was a movie a couple years ago. But this is a dog that I remember, and I'm old as dirt. I remember reading these books when I was a kid. I remember like the cartoon, right? And then there was a live action movie recently within the last couple of years. Maybe it's been 10 years. Maybe I'm old and senile. I don't know. But Clifford is still popular. He still does really well. Kids still love him. I've had many of his plush before. This is a backpack. The paw prints have even worn off in places, which I disclosed. Always disclose your flaws and tell them to look in the photos for those close-up pictures of the flaws. But this sold for $21.87. Build-A-Bear. I love Build-A-Bear. All Build-A-Bear. Plain brown bears, character bears, happy feet bears, penguins. I just love them, and I never ever pass up on them. I don't start any of them below 18. So you can see if this was listed at $22.49, we run 20% off all week. It would have been $17.99. On the weekend, we do a 30% off. So that's what he sold on, 30% off. This guy was 50 cents though. So that's cool. I was a little surprised, but I comped to Happy Feet. I thought they'd be worth more. But my general rule with Build-A-Bears, I don't start them under 18. They all start at 18. I don't care if it's a plain brown bear that everybody and their brother and their friend named Bob and the Susan down the block sell for $2 free ship. I don't start any of mine under 18. That is my rule. They can go on 30% off on the weekend and someone can buy them, or they can send offers to me. That's fine too. But that's just me. I don't feel like Build-A-Bear should be going for less than 18, so I'm a holdout for what I want. I take great pictures. I do great titles. There is a perceived value when folks look at your stuff in comparison to, if you have a penguin for 18 and everybody else, there's a couple other people with penguins for 12 and 10, they might wonder what's wrong with those and buy yours. So it's up to you, but you guys know I always teach to comp on the higher end, at least middle, comp in the middle, at least towards the higher end. Try to avoid racing to the bottom and being part of the problem. Part of the problem with Build-A-Bears is that a lot of people were trying to sell theirs the fastest and get that fast nickel, and a lot of people wanted to be me, mine first, and they just kept racing to the bottom until Build-A-Bear, what once was revered and really worth a lot of money, there's a lot that aren't anymore. And that is my one-time mention in this video. I tell you guys, I have to mention that race to the bottom in every video now until everybody's on board and understands why it's so detrimental to the reselling community as a whole. Here we have another Attic Treasures. This is Agnes. Agnes went on 30% off, so she would have been 12, but she was on 30% off on the weekend. I am totally fine with selling stuff at 30% off because it's listed above what I want anyway, so it's technically, I wanted 12 for her, but she didn't sell for 30% off the 12. She sold for $10.49, which is fine. Again, with these tie lines, like the Attic Treasures, you just want to kind of comp them to make sure before you buy them, because some can be very disappointing and some are very exciting. And last but not least, we sold an Aurora monkey. So Aurora is another one of those brands that's hit or miss. I have found Aurora bears that just looked generic and plain, and they comp at $30. And then I have monkeys like this that comp, for 14. I did take a best offer on him of 12. But as you can see, the majority of the plush that we sold in July are bread and butter plush. And I think that is a combination of reasons. Generally speaking, bread and butter does sell in a higher volume than the higher priced items, especially when it comes to plush. Higher priced plush, very expensive plush, you're typically waiting a long time for the right buyer. That's reason number one. Number two, it's summer slowdown. And number three, the economy is what it is, and people don't have that discretionary money to spend, that I've been talking about in a lot of my what sold videos. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns about plush or reselling in general, or this video or anything you saw, leave me a comment down below, or join the Facebook group, Flippin Hippos Reseller Pod, and tag me in a post. Please hit the thumbs up before you leave. It really helps the channel out. And if you haven't already, subscribe. That helps us also. We appreciate it too, guys. And I guess go be productive. Go make some money. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. Y'all are the best. Bye.